Welcome back to School of Athens. This marks the 1 year anniversary of the podcast, which is absolutely insane. We had some incredible guests on the past 12 months, and this episode is all about sharing some lessons that we had while speaking with some of these exceptional guests and everything we learned while building the podcast and the two other businesses as well. And so stay tuned. Hopefully, this will be very valuable.
Awesome stuff. Cool. So the first one, when we started this podcast, we did not even if we look back now, like Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots looking back, right? When we started it, we had no idea what we were doing. We just complete terrible. I don't even want to watch our first episode, but we had incredible guests on. I would have never thought that would happen, which is pretty insane. So if you just start something, you never know what can really happen, which is pretty cool. So I want to start off with this one. The price of productivity is creativity. And it's a recent newsletter I wrote. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, I highly recommend you do so. You can do that by joining our free school community, actually. So if you join that, it's first link in the description, you get added to the free course, plus you get added to the newsletter. So a double win. Pretty cool. So I wrote this last week and I said, we live in a world obsessed with productivity, routine systems, the Pomodoro technique, deep work. Every second is optimized, right? And that doesn't leave a room for creativity to really spark. And for creativity to start, it really comes out of boredom, right? I think Naval also said that, it's better to be bored than busy. And I see people trying to contradict that. What do you think? Do you think it's better to be bored? I see some people say, I need to be busy all the time. I feel like it's good to be bored because that's when the real ideas actually start to come up,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why, great thinkers in today's time get, compensated so well, is because people don't really allow themselves to think anymore, and it makes sense. I mean, it's so easy to get distracted, instant gratification. We've got social media everywhere. It's almost if you want to do something and not be bored, you can find anything to do in time. It's so easy to just distract yourself with things. And so the people that allow themselves to be present, to allow themselves to be bored, they obviously get compensated extremely for that because, a lot of people don't do that. So when you give yourself time to think, this entire idea and, the School of Athens, that entire idea was born in a place of Andre and I being bored, essentially.
And basically in chaos.
And in chaos, yeah. So it is, I think there's a lot of value in allowing yourself to just experience life and to, not necessarily cover up your experience by doing things, but to just experience. Yeah.
A perfect example of this actually is after high school. Exactly as you end high school, they're just what degree are you going to study? They don't give you, this is probably the biggest choice you'll ever make is what you're going to do for the rest of your life, technically, right? And after high school, they give you no time to think. And it's designed exactly that way. I promise you, one of the best things you can do after high school is take a gap year. Just to actually, and not, just sit around, play Xbox and eat pizza all day, you're probably not going to do that. But just to think what you actually want to do. And truly, that's why I went to IMM, that's in Stellenbosch. And there I've got longer vacation times. And in that 2-month vacation, that was actually very good to me because I realized, I don't want to do this anymore. In Stellenbosch, for example, every single month is exams, constant. You don't have time to really think. And that's really detrimental, especially nowadays.
I also did a gap year. I went to Young Minds, also at Stellenbosch, okay? So I essentially, in the first episode, I actually spoke about that entire journey. But it's so valuable to actually go and think about what are you going to be spending, doing the rest of your life. We all tend to really focus on planning out that 2-week vacation at the end of the year. The entire year you focus on where we're going to stay. You're so excited, building up the excitement behind that. But then when you actually go and put it into perspective, it's just 2 weeks of vacation compared to how much time do you actually spend working on a day-to-day, going to work. That is actually your life. But we've spent so much time and effort to plan this vacation. If you had so much excitement and planning and attention that you could align with and transmute it to actually figuring out how can you create a life and a day-to-day life that you enjoy, how much better would you be off, you know? Because I mean, your entire life is essentially based around what you do every day, where most of your time is spent. And most of your time is spent at work. But most of us dislike our work, you know? And so taking some time to really think about what are you going to do for the rest of your life is probably the most the most important thing that you can do, because that will become your life. And you don't need to go, like, I actually analyzed yesterday, actually, when I was with my friend, like, I analyzed every single decision that I made when I took the safe road led to an unhappy version of myself, which is fairly interesting. Every decision that I am proud I took came from me being unsure if it's actually going to work and being the most high-stressed one. You know, like leaving my previous 9 to 5 to start and build the business. I was terrified completely. But because of that,
on my Instagram, I actually posted something and resonated with people. People think that they want the guarantee and the easy path, but deep down, like, you want that bit of risk, because that's where the ultimate happiness comes from. Is it where something just might not have happened? You know, you don't want the guarantee, because that's boring. Like, you deep down, you think you want it, but actually you don't. You want the more risky path. You know, that's why gambling is so addictive. It's like, you don't know if this might be the one. You know, but you know, with a safe job, it's like, you know, that's where essentially the business model of gambling, that's where that started, is from this unpredictable nature, right? But if everything is, you can predict what's going to happen, it's just like a meaningless existence, essentially. And like, everyone experiences that, know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, to put that also a little bit, or to add on to that, you know, a lot of this was a part of most of the things we're going to be reading today comes from both of our emails that we write every week. So go and have a look at that newsletter. It's very valuable stuff. But part that I want to add to that is, you know, a lot of people believe that we only die once. This might be a cliche quote to some people that have heard it before, but, you know, like, I definitely disagree with that. You know, I think we might physically die once, but I think, like, spiritually we die bit by bit every day if you aren't aligned with your true self's, like, goals, you know? Because I think, especially when I look back at my previous 9 to 5, and when I was working in that industry, I actually loved the people I was working with, and I made it work, but I was so dissatisfied with myself. I felt like a failure. I didn't know, because I knew I was meant for so much more, and I just couldn't believe that this was it. Was this what life was all about, doing this? You know? And yeah, I think it's just, that it's so crazy, bro.
Get rich or die trying.
Get rich or die trying.
No, like, it's literally, even Matt Shields on the podcast, he mentioned that
guy.
He literally said that it was all or nothing. You know, Arnold had the same thing. He had no plan B. I see burn the boats. That's where all this comes from. Like, there was literally that, or spiritually dying. And if you're spiritually dead, that's actually worse than physical death. So get rich or die trying is literally the exact thing. It's a obsessive nature, and that's a common trait I see with a lot of successful people.
But I think it's just so good. It's like, but you don't want to get on the end of your life, and, like, the only things you're going to be regretting is the things that you didn't do, you know? And so I want to die knowing that I left everything on the table, you know? Like, I tried everything I wanted to do. I had all these extreme goals, and I tried achieving them. You know, I don't even think it's about achieving goals. You know, I think it's about having the courage to step, and the faith to step into, you know, getting the ball rolling, taking action. It's in the midst of pursuing goals that you will find your true self. It's not even attaining the things. Like, I've attained so many goals that I previously put out for myself that I never even thought was possible in that previous version, you know, like that, you would have never thought I would end up where I am right now. And I've achieved and crushed so many goals, and yet I'm still pursuing for more. You know, there will always be a bigger, better goal to achieve. And so that's why previous thing that Andre mentioned about actually being present and thinking and allowing yourself to just experience life is also so important. But yeah, coming back to this, it's like, to achieve a goal that's not even the main thing. You know, I really think it's just, it's in the pursuit of this thing that is valuable. It's just being in pursuit of something purposeful suffering. That's what it's about.
And it's the person you have to become to achieve that goal. I think Charlie Morgan, he also has the same thing. He wants to become a billionaire. It's not because of the actual monetary value. It's who you need to become to be a billionaire. Jim Rohn has a pretty cool quote. He says, if someone gives you $1 million, you better become a millionaire, otherwise you'll lose it. Which is like your inner identity, like thermometer, right? Needs to be that of a millionaire. Otherwise, you will lose all the money. So essentially, that's why people who win the lotto, their thermometer of what they feel like they are worth are down here, and their external, the money is like up here. That's why after 2-3 years, they lose it all, because your income will always gravitate to your inner value of what you feel you're worth. So that's why even Jordan Platten, he said that, I knew I was a millionaire before I was a millionaire, because these inner thermometer was that of a millionaire, and maybe his exterior was like broke, but over time it rises to your inner thermometer of what you feel like you're worth, and that's all it really comes down to.
Yeah, no, it's so amazing to be able to experience having conversation like this. The podcast is so valuable, like for us personally as well, because we get in rooms with some really amazing people, and to have these intimate conversations with all these people, and then linking it back to previous conversations with other successful people in different niches, you come to realize we all really have very similar journeys, bro. Everyone starts sort of the same thing. Something happens, zero arc begins, pursuing through their doubt and fears by trying to achieve like this monetary things or whatever goals to then prove to themselves that they are worthy to then have these things or whatever. It's so cool to see everybody's experiences be so similar.
It's also the most underrated networking hack.
Wow.
Because we actually did a call with the community members, and we realized we are essentially in connection with Andrew Tate already. Just from like 1 or 2 connections, like not even kidding. Just like one connection opens up this one, and that person that knows that one, and we formed a good relationship with this person, and that will give a good word there. We'll get a podcast with them. Boom.
Yeah.
Like 1 or 2 connections can literally open up to the most famous person in the world, which is insane.
It also comes out like Andrew made a reel about this some while back about like everybody wants to like networking, get into like I want to do networking, get in these groups or whatever, but like you have no value to give people. The only reason why I think people want to be on this pod is because there's some form of value for them, whether that be maybe some reach or having good conversation, whatever that may be. And it's like networking is such a powerful tool, but you need to be able to serve to get into these positions, And so in many forms, this is a form of serving our guests in some form of manner. That's why we get into these rooms with these people, So I think if you want to, improve your networking and get into rooms with some of these big people, just serve people, serve them, give them some form of value. And it doesn't always have to be, understanding that it doesn't always have to be like business advice or money. Like some people are very introverted. And so they will get value from someone that's a bit more out there, social skills. Maybe your thing is health. Like obviously I'm in the health space, So giving health advice gets me into a lot of rooms. And thinking, podcasts, conveying ideas, different, like thinking about all these things and conveying it to these people, having interesting conversations, like that's what I absolutely love. And that got me into so many different rooms, But I actually want to go through my email of last week. The title is The Price of the Dream You Prayed For.
So if you enjoy this conversation and you relate with the health and wealth aspect, and both of these are very important when it comes to scaling a business or just as an entrepreneur in general, top link in the description if you want a more personalized approach, to scaling a business or in the health aspect as well. And also in the description is access to our free community where we've got 20 hours of content that you can just consume.
100%. If you enjoy this conversation, share it to a friend. Maybe think about subscribing. Put the notifications on. It helps the channel a lot. And by doing so, we can get some more interesting guests like this. So let's get back to the video. This is the price of the dream you prayed for. Some people chase success because they want more. Some chase it because they've seen less. But some of us, we chase because we must. Not for money or status, but because something deeper within whispers, this is your duty. I feel a moral obligation to be successful. Where's the part I actually want to get to? Knowing, I believe I owe it to the people who can't chase their dreams to become everything I could be. And so I burden the weight and pressure that comes with building something great with pride, knowing that I prayed for this dream And maybe, just maybe, this weight I feel is the price of the prayer being answered. And I think that's also very powerful. It's like we tend to pray for all these things. Like, oh, I want, a stable job. I want this business to get to 100K a month or whatever. And then you get to that point, but then you don't realize that with this dream that you prayed for, there's a price attached to that. And maybe, just maybe, whatever you're going through right now, the pressure that you're feeling, maybe 1 or 2 clients left or whatever, that burden that you are pursuing through is the price of getting to this goal,
What if everything you're going through is preparing you for what you've wanted?
Exactly.
Basically that.
And that is, yeah.
Yeah, what you want is ultimately, you get the opposite, really. Alex also has this thing where, you ask for patience and then, things take long and then you're like, what? But that's exactly what you asked for. Yeah. So usually the attribute you want, you will get the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So if you want business success, you're going to go through a lot of failure. Yeah, because that failure, there's like this Bible quote as well, which is pretty cool. I need to think of it, but you essentially then become this character that can go through that failure, which ultimately will get you the success. He who is faithful with little will be faithful with much. Like when you're actually grateful for what you have right now, then that gives you access, or that gives you the capabilities to then, handle more money. When you, like, everyone wants more money, right? But they're not actually stewarding the money they currently have and looking, and stewarding the money they currently have. So let's say you want to start investing or something, and you're like, oh, I don't have enough money to start investing, but you just, want to invest 10%. So let's say you have even $1,000, like start investing 10%, and I think Jim Rohn said this. He's got some amazing YouTube videos, by the way. Just type in like Jim Rohn. There's like 4-hour YouTube videos. And he said, give like 10% to charity or whatever. Like that's a good thing to do. Even in the Bible, it says so. And he says, it's pretty easy to give $1 when you have $100. But, and then people don't even do it, right? But start doing it then. So, and they say, oh, when I make more money, then I will start giving 10%. But it's a lot harder to give $100,000 if you have $1 million, right? So start with giving $1 if you have 100, because it's the habit you start building. And that's essentially, habits is really all of it. That's, Atomic Habits. I just read this book, The Compounding Effect, which is also pretty good. It's just like stacking these small things. And our brain can't necessarily comprehend compounding. Our brains only think linearly, right? Like 1 + 1 is 2. It can't think exponentially. And that's what these small habits really do. And over time, that's the real time is like the real thing. And that's why people say, oh, don't quit, don't do all this, because they've just been in the game for a while and then you start reaping all the rewards.
That's literally the main thing. It's so cliche. Chris Williams has an entire thing where he spoke about a lot of cliche day-to-day things that people say, like money won't bring you happiness. The unteachable lessons. Money won't bring you happiness.
Let's see if I can pull it up.
Spend more time with your parents. Like, pull it up so long. But
Jamie's Jamie's working overtime.
But like coming back to the this is the price of dream you prayed for. It's like you feel fearful but still take action. You feel doubt but you still show up. That's not weakness. That's proof you were chosen. Like you pray for courage, but then God is going to give you situations to then be courageful. Is that a word? Courageful?
New word.
Courageful, well, whatever. And I, for a very long time, I thought I was faking courage. In situations where I had to be courageful. I thought I was faking it, but then I realized when you come into a situation where you need to be or to have courage, and you fake courage in that moment, that's courage. That's still courage. Even if you faked it, that is courage. How do you define courage? It's, showing up with courage when you need to, even if you're faking it. And for a very long time, the more you fake it, the more that will become you, If you kill everything off that's not that, and all that's left is this version of yourself that was faking the courage, well, then all that's going to be left is you having courage.
And people say that fake it till you make it. I like more the be it till you are it.
Until you are it.
That's not faking. It's not faking. Because you just...
You do it, yeah.
Be it to...
Why do you... Because like when I'm saying like I'm faking it, it just feels disingenuous with my previous self or my current self. Because it's not something that might come naturally to me. But by doing it, by extension, that is me now in this moment. Like if you take courage in that moment, even if it feels disingenuous with your current self, you are a guy being courageous.
You are
right
doing
now
it. You are still doing it.
doing it.
I've got a perfect email. I think it's good to read the entire email. It's like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
one. It's like 2
I
minutes.
I was trying to like,
Yeah.
but it's difficult to convey.
I think
just
people.
read the entire thing.
Yeah, like on my YouTube, I have like a a live sales call where I close the client, and everyone in the comments is like,
the whole
"Yo,
thing.
give me the whole thing." So I think
just
it's
read
better
the
to
whole
just read the whole email, and then we can essentially, take some
agree.
parts. So this ties perfectly to what we're talking about, which is fortune favors the bold, right? Everyone's heard of
love
that, but it's a cool take on it. So if there's one thing your competitors should fear, it's not that you'll improve your appointment booking rate or crack some new client acquisition strategy. It's that you'll become confident. And I've seen guys go from average to the best in the industry, not because they discovered something new, but because they finally realized they have what it takes. And once that happens, the universe bends to your will. You speak with conviction, you move differently, you stop hesitating and start executing like someone who knows where they're going. Most people never get there. Most spend their life worshipping others. They put the top guys on a pedestal, thinking they're some different breed. But the moment you get into the room with these people, that's why I think networking is also so crucial. You realize they're just like you. The only difference is they gave themselves permission to play the game at a higher level. And that's all confidence really is, permission. Steve Jobs once said, everything around you that you call life was made up by people who were no smarter than you. So truly let that sink in. Because once you internalize it, you start seeing through the illusion. The illusion that people at the top are gods, and they're not. They're just people who gave themselves permission to win. So that's why fortune favors the bold. And if there's one piece of advice I could give to any beginner or even someone doing 10K a month but feeling stuck, it's this, which is building radiant confidence. Build it through action, through small wins, stack daily. That's basically how you do it. Through being the guy that can figure shit out no matter what the circumstance. And yeah. And if you're on this newsletter or you're listening to this podcast, it already says a lot about you. So that's basically what it comes down to. It's just
that's insane.
When you network with these people, you realize they're just normal. They also scroll on Instagram. They just also watch the stories. Like, it's just people. We are literally 99.99% the same. Like literally what Steve Jobs said. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people who were no smarter than you. Truly.
Yeah, that's so good. Oh my goodness, I mean, it all comes down to very, very, like, you hear this all the time, but I really believe this to be true. Also, really having the opportunity to spend time with some of these guys one-on-one in person, like, they're all exceptional people, but it's not like they're exceptional because they got something that's different completely that I can't recognize in them that makes them this thing. But it's just because, they are so normal, yet they're just really good at executing on doing the normal day-to-day foundational things consistently over a long time.
Yeah.
And just focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But it's so difficult to pursue through friction when times get tough and to continuously doing the thing without seeing the fruits of your labor. It is tough, but it's exactly that you need to do, is to just continuously doing the same thing, or while focusing on doing one thing over and over, but then reiterating better versions of that. Mr. Beast said, just make 100 YouTube videos, and then you will get to a point where you will be able to monetize that or whatever. But he didn't just say, just make 100 YouTube videos. Like, I think he meant, make 100 YouTube videos, but reiterate every one, learning from your mistake, because a lot of people can make 100, but they never learn from their previous ones. So just make the same type of terrible quality ones, and they never get to a point where, it's good. You need to learn from your previous mistake, reassess your current situation, and then play the best hand that you were dealt, and the next week or next month, reiterate it and do it better.
The biggest thing stopping people is the shiny object syndrome. I saw this video from Alex Hormozi, and a friend called him up. He's like, yo, I made $50 million profit from crypto in Q4, whatever, right? No employees, just him. And he was just like, and that was the first time, he didn't get FOMO. He's like, you do you, man. Like, I'm proud of you. I'll be focusing on my stuff. That's the ultimate where you just focused on your one thing. That's it for extended period of time. And that's the secret, the magic you've been looking for is in the work you're avoiding.
I love that. All right, next one. The title of this one is Success Without Joy is Just Purposeful Suffering. If you're reading this, chances are you're high. If you're reading this, the chances are high that we struggle with similar problems, okay? Imposter syndrome, feelings of not doing enough. We chase hard-earned achievements as proof, evidence that we are worthy of respect or recognition. We will easily trade the present moment or immediate gratification for a potential better future one. Essentially, stacking our delayed gratification every day, in extreme cases, never tapping into gratification, because then when we do, we feel unoptimal, which is, it's definitely not a good thing. Approaching every day is a gigantic to-do list, and only if we tick everything off, only then we go to bed satisfied and content with our efforts. Our the way you look at yourself,
self-esteem,
self-perspective, or whatever, is very conditional. It's like, oh, I went to the gym today. Oh, I'm making 30K a month, 10K more than last week or last year or month or whatever. Got a good relationship. I got all these things. I got the nice car. I'm making the most money of everyone of my friends. Like, I'm a worthy man. I'm a good man. It's very conditional. And in many cases, that is almost I don't know if that's even a good thing at all. I think it can lead to certain outcomes, but it's based in pride. And long term, if you really think about it, I don't think it's a good thing. I think there's elements of that can be transmuted into a better, output. But I think we should be careful of that. But let me just continue with this. Congratulations, you will be successful one day, but you'll also be depressed. One must be careful to distract himself with meaning and purpose, so much so that he forgets to live life and enjoy the pleasures life has to offer. Success without joy is just purposeful suffering. We all know the Viktor E. Frankl quote, when a man can't find a deep sense of meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. It makes sense, but there's also an inverse one. When a man can't find a deep sense of pleasure, he distracts himself with meaning and purpose. You push, you grind, you build, you delay gratification always. From the outside, this might look noble, virtue signaling in a sense, but internally, you're deferring happiness to a tomorrow that never comes. If we are unduly absorbed in improving our lives, we may forget altogether to live it. You can win the game of discipline and still lose at life. Okay, it's a bit longer, but I think that is very important. I don't think I actually meditated on this 2 weeks ago after going to church one Sunday. My entire relationship with myself, my self-esteem is very, very conditional. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, because Jesus talks about, like, we were made in His image to be perfect already. We are already perfect. And that also comes down to, Matt Shields said that in his newest video as well, which is really good. Go and watch that. Then he talks about we as God's people need to be extremely successful, the most successful people out there. We need to have the craziest dreams. And because we believe, and because we believe that we are made in His image, we aren't fearful. We don't have doubt. And so then you can pursue these crazy dreams without then giving too much attention to the times where you are fearful and doubtful, because you know that you can make it, and you are that man worthy of the success. Or well, you just need to continue doing the thing.
That's operating from a place of wholeness. And also, I have this thing where, it's like everyone's saying, oh, I'm going to make it. But that's you're operating out of state of lack when you say that.
Oh, I'm going to make it.
No, it's like you already made it.
Yeah, I agree.
But also, you don't want to now be content. But you want to operate out of this state of fullness and a wholeness. And just like you are essentially creating out of a state of contentment. And this is a very, very fine balance, which is extremely difficult. And it's difficult to, that's why people don't even share it, because it's just so nuanced. It's so difficult to share it. It's easy to say, oh, I'm going to make it, I'll make it happen. But then you're constantly in a state of chasing, If you're chasing, what the other thing is running away, But when you already made it, right, you don't stop working. You still strive for it. And that's where that dichotomy comes in. You kind of have to balance both frames, right? Of chasing, not chasing for something, but going after something, but also feeling like you already have it. Okay, because it's the same thing of where Jordan said, I was a millionaire before I was a millionaire. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So
it's literally the right way to strive for more. Also part of the email. We're going to read these emails. It's not about rejecting ambition, but it's about understanding the fuel behind it. Are we chasing success to fill a void within yourself, or are you striving because you love the game and you want to see what you're capable of? You can use ambition as a tool without becoming enslaved to it. Enjoy the process, because the journey is your life. If you don't cultivate happiness now, you'll never find it no matter what you achieve. You already have everything you need. I think a lot of people will say, I don't think it's a lack of resources. It's 100% a lack of resourcefulness. No matter how you look at it, there's no benefit in, adopting the mindset that you have a lack of anything. Like, there's no benefit to that. That's why I subscribe so much to the Bible and Christianity, because we were made in His image. We were made whole. We already have everything we need. And so now you can operate out of a place of abundance. You already have these things. You don't need to do something to get something to be. You be, what's it?
Be do have.
Yeah. Well,
but Alex is just like, do.
There's not a way to look at that, but obviously, yeah, like I believe this one 100% to be true, because you're not going to take any action in discordance with what you believe, So you need to first believe that it's possible for you to make it before you take action. Obviously, the fruits of your labor will reinforce your belief, and it will maybe be easier to pursue through the friction. But you need to believe it's possible to achieve it before you take action. That is why networking is so important. The podcast that we absorbing content, seeing people that is relatable, that has made it possible. I find a lot of purpose in, I don't know, that's just such a beautiful concept to me.
Let me cook on this one. So,
what email is this?
Money is the biggest dream killer. All right. So this is a pretty cool one. So contrary to popular belief, money won't make you free. In fact, it makes most men slow and docile. The moment the bank account looks good, they lose their edge. They start waking up an hour later, they get soft in the gym, they get comfortable with good enough. That's the danger of money. It domesticates the wild dog in you. Success leads to comfort, comfort leads to failure. And the one who used to hunt out of desperation now gets food delivered to him on a silver platter. He doesn't need to hunt anymore, so he doesn't. That's why I believe money is the biggest dream killer of all. Not poverty. Poverty sharpens you. Poverty forces you to evolve or be eaten. It's very primal. But money makes you soft if you let it. So it convinces you you've made it when you've barely started. It offers you a fake peace, a peace that's cheap but costs you your future, unless you're obsessed, unless your mission is bigger than any revenue number, unless the game itself is what drives you, not the chips you collect along the way. So it's like a accompanying attribute to money. You shouldn't be focused on the money. And reality transurfing, they also talk about this. Money is just you should focus on the goal, and the money, you shouldn't be focused on the money.
Product.
The money will get you there. Like, it will come as a attribute, exactly, of you chasing the goal. So people focus on the wrong thing. The first 5K month sparks a fire within you. The first 10K month makes you feel like a king. Then what? That's when most tap out. They put it in cruise control. They start playing defense. They build a cage and call it freedom. You can't afford to lose that hunger. The version of you that had nothing, the one who skipped meals and worked till 2 a.m., the one who saw the world with fire in his eyes with no concern of a backup plan. That version of you is your truest self. So when the money starts coming in, don't let it buy your soul. Don't let it slow you down. Don't let it drag you off your mission. Don't forget why you started this mission in the first place.
That is such a powerful message. I think Naval also says something down the line of the purpose of the game is to win the game, to ultimately get rid of the game.
Be free of the game.
Be free of the game. And then you decide to either play a new game or continue playing this game, but for the sheer enjoyment of it. And so,
when do you win the game?
When you win the game.
But when do you win the
game?
Well,
that's the thing. Sometimes, let's say most of us, that's even what I did in the beginning, okay? 99% of people that go into business start with the intention to make money. 99%.
Probably 100, yeah.
Probably 100. Yeah. And so when you look back at the reason why you started, it's going to be monetary. But when you then checked off that list, a lot of people then get depressed because there's no more goal anymore. You need to realize that you have won this game, this money game, and now you need to play a new game. Or you need to continue playing this game, but you need to find enjoyment of it. And there's no virtue in either, it doesn't matter which one you do. There's no less virtue to now, let's say you exit your business for $100 million and now you don't build another insane business. That's no less virtue than still continuing to build out a business. That's a decision that you will obviously have to make. But there's something in you that's going to die if you don't come to terms with the fact that you have won this game and you need to have a new purpose. whether that be finding God, building a family, starting a family.
What is it? God,
you
mission,
know,
and kids.
Yeah, no, Valdi's a G, but you need to go and check his
Bro,
stuff.
like that's where I get all of this stuff from. Oh shit.
It's-
Like the Loom founder, he exited his business literally for I think $1 billion, and he said he literally wrote a long article of how depressed he was. He was just like the most depressed thing he's ever felt, and he won the game. He made like $100 million in your bank account. Like that's how it works. People think making money is all this weird ninja stuff. Like no. The company literally just wired $100 million in your bank. It's like looking at your bank and there's $100 million just sitting there. And they said that was the most depressing thing he's ever felt because he doesn't have a mission. And he wrote that tweet. It went pretty viral. And Naval commented underneath that, God, mission, or kids, preferably all three. And the thing about those three is that it's not about you. It's all something bigger than you. It's all outside of you. Martin Luther King said the same thing. If you want happiness, seek happiness for others. That's like the manly pursuit. I feel like it's never really about you. It's about something bigger, and but that will make you happier. When I say, oh, it's not about you, then you think, oh, I'm going to be depressed. But no, it's like the complete opposite. If you focus on providing and helping others serving, then that will make you happier in the process.
Bro, I came to quite a lot of conclusions yesterday, which is funny. But I came to terms with the fact that I believe almost everything in life, especially for men, comes down to a form of, it's based out of pride. Like everything that we do. Whether that be, like a lot of people say it comes down to sex, like for women. Some people might say, to conquer for pride, what do you call it? Fame or not fame? What is it like?
Four motivations.
Yeah, what is?
It's freedom. Movement, freedom is the 4 M's from Tai Lopez. So movement, freedom, mating, romance, mastery status, and then what's the other one? Mating. Did I already say that?
Yeah, I already said that. You said 4.
Oh, is it 4? Okay.
I was thinking of what? Not mastery. What did you just say?
Mating.
No, the other one. The
movement.
No, the last one.
What's the last one?
Okay. Whatever.
I got it.
It's like just pull it up. But essentially everything comes down to pride. Everything comes down to pride.
Yeah. Material things.
Mating, movement, freedom, status. I was thinking about status. I think the two main things, just looking at my own life, is, I'll probably say status is a big thing for me, but obviously you have different levels of whatever motivates you. But I think everything comes down to pride, everything. Because you want to, whether that be, if I look back at my own life, I wanted to achieve a certain thing to then demand respect from other people in a sense. It's like, okay, look, I got my life together, I'm healthy, I've started a business, I'm young, I'm getting married, I'm religious now, I'm this ideal person, and that comes down to pride, It feels like you need to achieve these things to then, conditional once again, to then demand respect. But there's something in that I don't think is
If you look at it from an evolutionary perspective, like Dr. David Bust, he wrote the Harvard textbook on evolutionary psychology, and he said everything comes down to mating. To women, essentially. If there was no woman on this planet, men would sleep on that one mattress on a single bed apartment and just do nothing, play video games. He said it all comes down to mating.
But it's even for Okay, he's obviously. That's obviously
from an evolutionary sense.
Perspective. Yeah. But it's like
there's a video of Mike Thurston and Andrew Tate in the Bugatti, driving through Dubai, and then Andrew Tate was like, "All these buildings was built because men want women. that's the only reason. Because then he can say, "Oh, I built that building."
Yeah.
And then he can find a better wife or whatever. It's crazy.
I was about. Where was I getting to this? Because we were speaking about. Selflessness doesn't mean, thinking less of yourself, but it means thinking of yourself just less, just thinking less of yourself. Don't think too much about yourself. Not everything comes down to, when you become the center of your life, that is when pride takes over.
Also depression.
Everything is about
also
you.
Depression.
Depression.
So you constantly think about yourself and ruminate in your own mind, not thinking of others. That's where depression comes from.
Bro, it's serving. I think that's why God gave us all these skills. That's why, Andrew's good at certain things, I'm good at certain things, other people's good at certain things. And in a community, we're all supposed to serve each other. That is what life is about. You know, when you come to your deathbed, it's a very cliche thing, but when you get to your deathbed, you know, you want to be surrounded by, you think, your cars or your medals or like your diplomas or, you know, pictures of you when you were jacked, when you were 24, like,
Yeah.
bro, yeah, maybe all those things, but then like, you know, in front of that, like right next to your bed, you want the people that you love to be there. You know, that's what's actually meaningful. But we almost take it for granted because like we know these things. We know that's what life's all about. But yet we still, you know, sacrifice that in the present moment for financial gain, for all these things. And
Well, I think you can have all of it. You know, like the good life. That's why I preach that constantly. You can it's the health, wealth, love, happiness, right?
but I think it's the main core of what is your motivator behind doing all those things. Which I think
Autonomy
is
and freedom
important.
is actually my biggest one.
Autonomy and freedom.
Yeah, to do whatever I want, whenever I want, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that one. But you need to, it's like life is a juggle between 4 glass balls, you know? Honestly, I actually thought about this the other day. You can not have health, not have wealth, and not have love, and have happiness and probably still win.
But they need to define what's win.
No, it's like when you're happy.
Oh, is that
Yeah, like let's say this guy is like the happiest person on the planet, but he's unhealthy, he's broke, and he doesn't have friends and family. But I mean, he still won probably.
Yeah.
But that's very
I actually
difficult. That's
thought
very
of-
difficult.
Yeah, because that's like some. You know what?
That's some Buddha shit, you know? Yeah.
I'm actually. Okay, this will be in my email next week. But you know, talking about, you know, I don't pray for happiness anymore. I pray for peace, because happiness demands something from you. You know, it demands like you achieve happiness, like it's a certain state that you reach that's linked to something. You know. But by obtaining things to gain happiness, by extension, when you get rid of those things, happiness will be removed from you. So I pray for peace, because peace doesn't demand anything of you. You can be peaceful because life is not about experiencing the highs, you know, because the highs gain value from the times that you were going through something that was low, because the contrast increases the value of the highs. And so by extension, when you pray for peace, you can then endure the lows and the highs on the same frequency. You know, it's not like, because I know now when, you know, business goes a bit tough, or like my relationship with my okay, well, I'm almost getting married, but to me, fiance, like when it's a bit rough or whatever, or with my faith at church or whatever, I know that I pray for peace now, because if I prayed for happiness, I would be pretty down and depressed, you know. And then when things go good, well, then I'm over the moon, everything is great, and I'm happy. But then when those things get removed from me, then it strips away my life experience. And I don't want that. I want to be peaceful.
That's the cool thing about entrepreneurship, is you only feel 2 emotions, and that's euphoria and terror. So you experience the entire wave of emotions, and that's basically life. You know, if you settle for the guarantee and safe path, that is by definition in the middle, right? Like you are only up and down this much. It's not the full spectrum of life. And Andrew Tate said something which is pretty profound on a podcast. And he said that some part of him wishes that he goes to jail, you know? Because
I saw that.
Yeah, it's actually extremely smart what he said. You know, whatever you think about him, I don't care. Just look at the message, right? And he said that part of him wants to go to jail because that's like the worst thing he can experience. And then as contrast, you know, you would also be the happiest, right? Just getting out of jail, like that would be the happiest day of his life. So he's experiencing the entire spectrum. And people, you know, look down on the bad days, but that literally gives you, you know, the perspective to experience the good days.
Yeah.
It's the entire spectrum. So, you know, it's like actually I wrote a good email on this.
Dream you prayed for, bro. It's literally part of the dream you prayed for.
I got a good one. So your life is like the S&P 500. So if you don't know the S&P 500, it's essentially the top 500 companies in the US. Yeah, like you can invest in that. So you've probably realized entrepreneurship is one hell of a roller coaster. There's this quote that says, there are only 2 emotions you feel as a founder, euphoria and absolute terror, sometimes both in the same hour. One day, you're up 10K signing clients in your sleep and you're telling yourself, I'm literally that guy. Next day, you're doubting your entire existence because a deal fell through. Like, that can happen in an hour, you know? That's why you need to kind of stay stoic as well. Because if you let that experience dictate your emotions, like the ups and the downs, you kind of have to stay cold, you know? So another thing you have to then start doing again is experiencing all the emotions. Because when you start kind of integrate yourself back into life, right? You don't want to be this robot, right? But entrepreneurship kind of requires that. Is where the ups and downs shouldn't influence you that much, because emotions ultimately in business it's not a good combo. If you don't know how to manage the conundrum, you're cooked. I want to offer you a better analogy. Your life is like the stock market. Zoom in on any given day in the stock market and it's chaos. If you zoom in on like a 15-minute time frame, it's like up this much, down, up this much, green candles, dips, breakouts, spikes, consolidation, you name it. But zoom out, it's up to the right every single, like always, like since, it started. If you zoom out 100 years, it's up and to the right, So even with all the recessions, even with all the crashes, even with a 6.6 trillion wipeout, like the one recently at the markets, when you zoom out, the S&P 500 is still up nearly 3,000% over the last 40 years. And that's your life. Especially if you're a founder, you are the asset. You are the EFT of specific knowledge, ETF, it's like a combo investment of specific knowledge, leveraged action, and asymmetric upside. You have to train your mind to stop reacting like a retail investor, panic selling at every minor inconvenience, because every crash in your life was just a dip. If you keep showing up, you recover, and then you break your own all-time high. Most people don't zoom out. They don't even see the trend. They let one bad week ruin a good year. Let me remind you of this simple truth. That goal you're chasing, that's 5% of your life. Your actual life is the other 95%. If you can't give yourself permission to be happy now amidst the chaos, you're discarding 95% of your life. So zoom out, celebrate the dips as much as the highs. Because if you're working hard, focused on self-improvement, dialed in and constantly learning, you're headed up and to the right. So just zoom out. That's basically it. You like I said, you're going to experience euphoria and terror in the same hour. Like that, But if you zoom out, even look back 2 years. Bro, what happened, we got some of the biggest guests on, that's in 1 year. So if you zoom out 5 years, our brain can't think, we can't think like that. But if you constantly, like I said in the end, if you focus on self-improvement, focused on constantly learning, you're dialed in, you work hard, you hit the gym, you just focused on that.
But then it literally comes down to just faith, bro. Then it's just you've done everything you can on your end.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's such a profound lesson that I learned this year as well. That you can't, there's no amount of stress, anxiety, future-proofing, planning, all these things that can actually, it doesn't prevent anything, you just need to play the best card or the best hand with the cards that you've been dealt every single time. And then the rest you need to leave in God's hands. You can't do anything else. Because that's just going to rob you of your present enjoyment. You are stressing for this potential future that you might never even be alive in. You might never even see that future. Yet you are stressing about all these things.
What did the Vol say? Imagine how successful you'd be if you weren't so anxious all the time.
Yeah. And just claiming it. I listened to a song on our way here, or on my way here. It's it was a praise worship song, and it's you'll never be more loved by God than right now. There's no more. It looks like it's a repeating lesson I'm learning now, but it's there's no amount of goals you can achieve, or this goals you can achieve, things you can do that's gonna allow you to be more at peace with yourself than what you possibly could be in this moment, by just being at peace, by just being present.
The chaos.
In the
chaos. You kind of have to
maybe the eye of the tornado or whatever. It's fucking but you're in the middle, bro.
You just Zen mode, you don't give a shit. It's the subtle art of not giving a fuck. That's you just don't give a shit. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Ups and downs, you literally don't care.
Bro, you know what flex that is? Is going through the craziest shit every day and still in the midst of that being at peace and just chilling, bro.
Yeah, just smiling.
Enduring it with a smile.
The introduction paragraph from How to Sail Your Way Through Life, Napoleon Hill. It's like a poem he wrote in the book. It's so good. He says, even though life is terrible, ups and downs, I just laugh in the midst of everything, or something like that. Because laughing and humor breaks the pattern. It breaks, it snaps you into the present moment, like a joke. When you're laughing, you think of nothing else. That's why, comedians are spiritual people, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's a skill set to bring back that life within you. Like in the first 1-2 years of entrepreneurship, you are like a robot. Like you are just like, you don't feel any emotions. You are just nonchalant, chill guy. Like you don't smile, you don't do nothing. So then you kind of have to integrate back into life again. Like you have to now act normal again, get back to human. Yeah.
It's
real. Like I'm not even joking.
It demands a certain type of person from you, because especially if you get thrown into the deep end real quick, like your entire like human like vessel needs to transition into this new version that somehow needs to endure all this ups and downs on a day-to-day with somehow not being phased. Like it's impossible to do that. Like you need to be like extremely stoic, but like obviously the more you do it, the more you get used to that dynamic. And that's another lesson I learned this year, obviously me getting married now, like the amount of value that I give to my partner is extreme. Like I am 100% a better person because I have her in my life. And I think it's a dynamic between the masculine and the feminine, because you as a masculine, like, well, we all are on different levels and in different times during the day, jumping between like the masculine and the feminine. Go and read the book, The Way of the Superior Man by David Data.
I'm actually reading it.
It's really good. Even get your girl to read it. But yeah, so then you jump between like the masculine and the feminine. But what Andre just spoke about now is being stoic and very like nonchalant, just like enduring rough times, a very masculine thing. You take action without giving any importance to how you feel about the thing.
What's that thing where, you're walking with your girl and she notices a flower?
That's what I want to say. So like, you are walking, I'm thinking about 10,000 other things about business. A client just left, or some
offers,
contract,
like,
or whatever, this thing. And she's like, okay, can you blow me key on this? And I'm like, what are you? I would never look at that. But now, like reframing and actually like I am so appreciative of that, because I would not stop and look at the Blomiki, But now she stops and she looks at the flower and she experiences that very present feminine energy. Nature, alcohol is also like feminine. Anything that brings you to music, that brings you to the present moment, is a feminine thing. And, my fiance is extremely feminine. And when I'm, thinking about business and to switch between there's obviously transition phase there, but having a understanding woman next to you that's feminine, that can counterbalance the stoicness, is such a bro. That is one of the highest leverage protocols that you can have as an entrepreneur, bro, is having someone like that, because you do not want to be 100% masculine always. It's detrimental to you.
It's not, it's impossible, because you want to integrate that part, and how people do it. They're extremely masculine. Let's say they don't have a feminine goal. Then they, drink alcohol every single day. That's when they start to do that. Because
then it's drugs. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Drugs is all because then it's like you are forcing your vessel to compensate for something that you don't have on a spiritual like level or whatever. Yeah. That's such a good point. That's why a lot of these entrepreneurs, strippers, alcohol, like those other two boys that got locked up now. Like it's all those like abuse, because there's not a stable feminine good
there's no balance.
Godly relationship.
There's
no balance. That's a big thing.
And balance. No, we preach balance, but I think I said on my recent video, it's like it's not 4 hours deep work and then 4 hours short form. Like that's not
short form.
That's not the balance I'm talking about. It's harmony. That's really what I'm talking about. It's harmony.
Elaborate on that.
It's like the health, the wealth, the love, the happiness, is integrating all these things. Like you can have $1 billion, but if you can't get out of bed, like that's where the balance comes in. It's in the integrated life. No. Like a 7 out of 10 in everything is like a top 0.001%. Most people are just extremely jacked and broke, or they have a lot of money and they're out of shape and they, can't find a partner. It's like you want it all. Yeah. And that ultimately, I think for the long term is definitely the best.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it comes down to the goal, I guess. Like we're talking about the life of a good man right now. Like if you want to be the LeBron James or like the Michael Jordan is a better example, you're going to sacrifice every single piece of domain that is outside of NBA for the success of that career thing. And if that might be the price that you have to pay to be the all-time greatest in that one thing.
What did Chris say? He said your heroes aren't special. They just sacrifice everything else for the attainment of the goal.
And I mean, like, that is real, bro. Like, I don't want to do that.
I don't know if that's admirable. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that
It's like monk mode extreme.
Yeah.
Like, is
like
that...
I can admire anyone that is so like encapsulated by a goal that they are willing to give their life for it. Like I can. That's like any extreme form of
it's mastery.
Yeah, mastery. That's the right word. I can appreciate because I would never do that. Like at least that's not my goal. My goal is to live the life of a good man. Like I want to be rich and wealthy, but for me, you know, I want to also be a great father. I want to be present in my community. You know, I want to look after my health, to look after my family. I can't do those things if I am, you know, wanting to be the Steve Jobs. Like Steve Jobs was hated by his people. You know, Michael Jordan, he didn't have friends when he was playing NBA. But we don't see this. We see Michael Jordan dunking, like doing all these things, being the greatest of all time. And then, you know, when his career's over, like, is that what it's about? Being the greatest of all time? Like, is that really what it's about?
I think ultimately the good life is the goal, truly. But it's not appreciated. It's not valued by society. It's not praised. None of that. None of that. Like, you're not gonna, you know, be this good guy. The thing is, you're gonna live an amazing life though. But other people aren't really gonna appreciate it. Yeah. But people appreciate the crazy ones who've sacrificed everything else. And I don't know if that's healthy.
That is so good because once again, that comes back to pride. It's like, why do you want to sacrifice what you believe to be true in your heart to then just be praised by other people that you don't even really care about? You know? I spoke with Nick Setting in a car on our way to playing paddle in the beginning of this year. It's something I learned in that car as well. It's like, I think success at its like deepest form comes down to just being in alignment with your true goals and desires. It's like when you start maybe like this, I should say like this online business, young entrepreneur space, you know, it's very easy to think, go on all these trips, get the Porsche, get the car, get all these things. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But if it's not aligned with your true self, you will feel disingenuine. And there will be a certain part of yourself that dies in the presence of doing these things. You're not going to feel fulfilled.
And it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. But also, it's like, that's not even you, bro. You don't even want the thing. You want the praise from getting the thing. And in one of the modules
the funny thing is, no one cares.
No one even cares. And then like in the module, I don't even know what module this was, but I talked about everybody wears Gucci, you know, these brand names. They want the watch, they want the car. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I want a nice watch. I want the Porsche, of course. I want to get clear on why I want it though. And that's what I want to get to here. It's like, you buy the car, the Porsche, the nice watch, have the things to attain the good business, the beautiful wife, the six pack, whatever, because you want these things to demand respect, you know? But I think it's better to look at it like, let your own vessel, let yourself demand respect. And it's like, even becoming detached from that, why do you want to demand respect in the first place? You want, because it comes back to pride again. You want to feel pride.
I promise you, if you don't care about it, you get more of it anyway.
But then the thing is, you don't even care about it.
Yo, that's the thing.
You don't even care. Naval, that's not shit, bro. And yet everyone praises him. But because like he doesn't care.
But he's not doing it. He's not caring to get it.
Exactly. It's like a...
This is like a...
That's like that monk level stuff.
Wait. And Peter Thiel, he wrote this cool thing, the author of 0 to 1. He was also part of the PayPal mafia with Elon. And he says, don't optimize for growth at the expense of durability. And if you focus on near-term growth, short-term, above all else, you miss the most important question you should be asking: will this business still be around a decade from now?
Optimize for aura, bro. That's what it is. Aura farming. That's a new business model Underline actually started.
Yeah, aura farming business model. But like, this is as legit as it comes. Like, we're not even kidding about this.
It's
aura above money every single time.
Every single time.
Because money is a short-term play. Aura is a long-term play. Okay? Because if you sacrifice aura now, right, you might make money, but you need the aura for the long term.
Bro,
right?
like, it's some ways to look at this, but it's like, you need to optimize for aura. Aura is the name of the game. If you sacrifice your aura for monetary... but I can't do this, bro, I can't.
But
it's true. It's 100%
so true, though.
It's so true. But yeah, I think just becoming detached. Like, I think really, if you go, like, this is an exercise to go meditate on. This is something I'm really doing. This is why I really value a lot going to church, because it helps me to be humble. Like, I heard a priest say, never pray for anything else but repentance, because with repentance comes humility. And in the midst of humility, the Lord has he who has a pure heart shall see God, or something like that. It says this is Matthew, but that's so true. Is when you become humble, when you start seeing yourself in other people, and you
Those who
that
humble
is the main
themselves
thing.
will be exalted.
Well, that is
But that's
100%.
again, then
That is
again,
literally what it is.
But that's then again, don't be humble to be exalted.
Because then that's that humble flex. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do it because then it's not humble. If you're doing it out of the sake of gaining something again.
Yeah.
But bro, this is us like overthinking. But that is it. Like it's overthinking it. But that is what it is. But that's that entire dilemma of like, can you do anything selflessly? If I donate to charity, I'll do it because I feel like that's what the Lord probably wants from me, but I'll feel good after doing it.
It's very difficult to attain. That's the thing.
So it's like to almost.
I think you can do it. It's just very difficult.
Yeah, I think even if you can't do anything selflessly, truly, it's obviously so much more objectively better to donate money than to not do it. But I think pride is the root of all evil. It really is. I truly believe that to be true. And getting rid of your ego, your pride is such a important lesson and it's difficult when, especially like these high achievers, because there's a point where you need to believe that you are the best to ever touch it.
Wait,
you need to believe that you are the best to ever touch it. A friend of mine, Simon, actually says that. Like Michael Jordan, he had to believe he was the best to ever touch it. He had to have this insane ego for him to survive in that moment. So like the question becomes, can the exact replica of Michael Jordan, but the complete opposite, the guy that's wholesome, that has zero ego, but that does it out of the pure, but like, I don't even know. That's a difficult one.
It's a aura maxing. Like all these guys, or the ego maxing, sorry. So you want to have this sense of ego that you can accomplish it, but also you don't want it to,
Maybe it's by linking it back, like, okay, me being religious again, like that's maybe when I'm like, okay, I'm accent start. What's it? Accent start. I'm capable of achieving anything, not because I'm the best, because I was made in the Lord's image. So it's like a humble pride almost. It's like I'm the best.
Ultimately, Jesus was the ultimate ego maxer. He walked earth, said, I'm the Son of God.
Yeah.
Bro, that's the most egoic thing ever, but you want to have both. He's also then extremely humble and then washes people's feet, So it's like you walk as if you're the Son of God and also you help the homeless,
I love that because it's not like, it wasn't like he was like an ego as in linking it back to him. Like he's the Son of God, but he's giving praise to God. So it's not him. It's like, it's through him, So it's like I am able to achieve anything, not because I'm great, but because, I'm a son of God. Like it's God working through me. Like that must be that is the humble pride. Like, that's probably the way to do it. The humble pride.
That's like double reverse psychology.
Humble pride maxing.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But I think if you have a vision of what you can accomplish and that vision is already given to you, like I already know what my plans are for the next 10, 20 years. Like I know what's going to happen. Like I know the end vision. So whatever happens, like it's the same thing that I mentioned with the S&P 500. Like if you zoom in right now, chaos is happening. It's just chaos day to day. Week to week, it's like what is going on? I have no idea what I'm doing. Everyone is clueless. Everyone is figuring it out. But I know the end vision. So I don't care what happens now. I just know the end vision already. Yeah. So that's extremely important. It's keeping that end vision in mind at all times. Zooming out, when things are going crazy, just zoom out. Like look 1-2 years ago, you are a completely different human being. And if you just do that every single year, it's the law of the compounding effect, right? The eighth wonder of the world. If you improve even 1% every week, okay? If you improve 1% a week, that's double Warren Buffett's returns every single year. Double, okay? It's like the S&P, S&P Me 500. If you invest in yourself, 1%, like, people say the atomic habits 1% a day. That's unrealistic. And people think, oh, that's easy. No. That's even unrealistic. It's hard. Do 1%. It's not hard, but just do 1% a week. Can you do 1% a week improvement? That's already double Warren Buffett, the best investor of all time, possibly, ever. And that's double his returns every year. If you just invest in your, self 1% a week. And the thing is, in the first year, you're not going to see much, right? It's that male filter. You know, the male filter.
What, the 28 or what?
25 to 28, they call it the great male filter, or it's First Man, absolute legend. He calls it the great male filter. So, you know, if you hit the gym, like let's say you were on a 25 right now, you hit the gym, you're eating healthy, you do all these things, you kind of look the same as your peers who still drink alcohol, doesn't go to the gym, don't focus on themselves. You look the same, roughly. Like you maybe have some, you know, you can't really see a big difference. But you're from 25, let's say 28, end of 28, then you can see who's actually made, you know, some drastic changes in their life. And what's the reason behind all of this? Time. Time is the main reason. Because they are degressing, you know, 36% a year, or 36 times a year, or whatever, or 52% if you do 1% a week, a year, you know. After the first year, not much. You don't see much, right? But after like 5, 10 years, then it's like a massive difference because they were declining exponentially, you were increasing exponentially. But at the beginning stages, you can't see that curve. You know, it's flat. It's flat. I want to actually play this super cool thing from Paul Graham, YC guy. Where's my favorites? It's a video. Oh.
Play it.
Oh shit! I took a screenshot.
Oh, you took a screenshot. I just played the audio then.
Yeah.
We're surprised is that we underestimate.
Can I play it? Yeah, no?
Yeah?
Okay. Let me just put it a bit harder. So this is from the Founders Podcast, episode 314, Paul Graham. He writes a lot of essays, and this is like 30 seconds, but just this is essentially the compounding effect at work. And it's like the 8th one of the world, coined by the smartest guy to ever live, Einstein. So this is something to really listen to, okay? But the real thing is, people think, oh, no, it's useless, but they don't give it time. That's truly it. So you know this.
The reason we're surprised is that we underestimate the cumulative effect of work. Oh, another great paragraph. This is going to be an essay I'm going to read multiple times throughout my life. I hope you read the entire thing when you're done listening to this. Writing a page per day doesn't sound like much, but if you do it every day, you'll write a book a year. That is the key, consistency. People who do great things don't get a lot done every day. They get something done rather than nothing. And if you do work that compounds, you'll get exponential growth. The trouble with exponential growth is that the curve feels flat in the beginning. It isn't. It is still a wonderful exponential curve, but we can't grasp that intuitively. So we underrate exponential growth in early stages. Something that grows exponentially can become so valuable that it's worth making an extraordinary effort to get started. The reason we're surprised.
That's probably like the best thing. You listen to that like every single day, honestly.
Yo, you know what is crazy to me as well? It's like, I'm like, because there's so many times, like, especially like, let's talk about this podcast that we've been going for like a year now. Like, I'm thinking some episodes, like, yo, why didn't this one
like 1 year is nothing.
No, I know.
It's
But like,
nothing.
this is a good thing. I literally just realized now listening to that, obviously, podcast, insane. I'm thinking back at the quantity that I get from that is so insane. I'm thinking like, that guy definitely deserves more views. And then I'm looking back at my content and I'm sometimes thinking like, yo, some of our episodes used to do a bit better. Like, why is it not doing better, whatever. And I'm thinking like, yo, are we even like producing value, like whatever. Then I'm thinking like, there's so much other variables at play here. You can only focus on creating the best possible inputs that you can.
Yeah.
The outputs is irrelevant. You cannot control or dictate the outcome.
The work is the goal.
The work is the goal because there's so many, like the world is chaos outside. And so this is what Matt Shields said, like what episode was that? It was so good, like from minute 17 or whatever. But then like the world is so chaotic outside of your own self. You cannot dictate, plan, and work your way through the chaos. That's why, you know, having faith and relationship with the Lord is so important because it almost like it gives you a sense of peace in the midst of that chaos. Then you only focus. Just be right with yourself and the Lord. Just work on yourself. Do what you need to do on a day-to-day basis. And as long as you do that and you take care of the necessary things, you know, it will happen for you.
Yeah, listen
when
to
it
this.
happens and how it happens is irrelevant.
So a quote from Mark Anderson, which is like probably my favorite quote of all time.
Yo.
It says, "The world is a very malleable place. If you know what you want and you go for it with maximum energy and drive and passion, the world will often reconfigure itself around you much more quickly and easily than you would think."
Yo, that comes down to my
good
email. That is so good. Yo, let me read you guys what adds to that quote. This email is called "How to Manifest Your Deepest Desires into Reality." You're the master of your fate. Until you fully grasp this truth, true success will always elude you. Your destiny is not dictated by chance, luck, or external forces. It is shaped by your thoughts and actions today. The reality you live in right now is the sum total of every decision you have ever made and every belief that you have held in the past. If you want to believe it's possible to create a better future for yourself, you need to come to terms with the fact that you have also created your current reality. We do not have control over our external factors, things that happen to us. However, we have full control over how we react to those things internally. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you'll find strength. That's from Marcus Aurelius. Guiding your focus to the things you can control will allow you to tap into your true potential. So the question is simple. Will you surrender to circumstance? Will you bow before the illusion that your present reality is set in stone? Will you believe that life has simply happened to you, that you are a passive participant in your existence, in your own existence? Or will you awaken to your power? Will you take control and recognize that everything around you is energy that bends and molds itself according to your thoughts, beliefs, and focus? What Andre basically just mentioned. Your success, happiness, and environment are not random. They are reflections of what you hold in your mind. If you are unsatisfied with where you are, start envisioning a new reality. Hold that vision in your mind relentlessly and watch as the pieces begin to align. Most people live as victims. Okay, this is a long one. That's actually a very long one. The successful man sees every situation as an opportunity. He carries a sense of impending victory no matter the odds. And when you cultivate that same mindset, nothing, no circumstance, no failures, no setbacks can stop you. Your mind is the battleground. Win there and you will win everywhere. True freedom. That is so true. Because it comes down to like we all, have a certain perspective or paradigm that we approach life with. And the type of distortion or paradigm is directly linked to, the reality that you have experienced in your past, And that specific reality that you have created, that paradigm, is not right nor wrong. It just is. And so if you have certain things that you are experiencing that is creating a negative life experience, analyze why you believe those things and remove yourself from that. That is not you. It is not true nor false. And so then realign yourself and adopt positive ones. That's why religion is so important to me now. It's like, in the Bible, it stands clearly, I am made in his image. Like there's no reason for me to be doubtful or fearful, which is some things that hold me back in my past, And look and dissecting those paradigms, I realized it's not serving me, so I'm killing it. I'm killing it off. It's not part of my life. And by detaching from those negative frameworks, you can then step into a place where you can be peaceful in the midst of a storm. And that is where you gain back your power. It's being peaceful.
And fear is the thing that holds everyone back.
Yeah, that's
and in the Bible, it says it, do not fear 365 times.
What?
That means one for every single day. You should not fear. Like, fear stops people from dreaming big. It stops people from taking action. And that's all that is required, is dreaming big. Yo, is it so cold here?
You getting cold?
No, like I can see Wasem.
Huh? Where?
Goodness gracious.
Yo.
But
we're out here, boys. Subscribe. You're like
we're freezing out here. But that is what is required, is having this big vision and this big goal, because fear stops you from dreaming big. And ultimately, dreaming big, there's less competition there. What was that thing where, this company, they put out job applications, right? And there was like a CEO role, and then there was like management roles, like the middle one, and then there was like entry roles or whatever. And the CEO role, right? There was like 5 people who applied, and the manager role, there was like 100 or something, and the entry was like 200. So there's more competition in the middle, thinking small. There's almost no competition at the top, 0, because everyone thinks, oh, like that's out of reach, I'm not gonna even try. But then no one tries, and then you're the only one who thinks big, and then there's no competition. It's the exact same amount of energy and effort required to achieve a mediocre goal than a big goal. Like, you're still gonna work, like, for example, it's just maybe spending a bit more money on ads. Like, it's not, you're not working harder at all. So you're essentially using, like the capital leverage, right? The successful people, they all have just mass amounts of leverage. For example, Alex Mosey, he posts one YouTube video. It takes him 30 minutes, right? But there's like then 20 clips and 200,000 people see it. We are spending, say, for example, also 30 minutes on a video, but a lot less people. Let's say we don't have a short form team like clipping up the videos, then it's not going to be distributed. So it's only going to have 200 people see it. exact same 30 minutes. He's not working harder on that video whatsoever. He just has more leverage. He also said the most successful people, they're not working harder. They just get more for every step. And what does that mean? They step once, they get 5 steps. You step once, you just get 1 step. That's all it comes down to is leverage. Yeah.
I agree.
And the new forms of leverage is media and software. Those are the 2 ones. So if you're not currently using media, which is essentially podcast, writing books, writing tweets, media, YouTube videos, stuff like that. If you're not doing that, you should be writing software or code. If you're not doing that, you don't have any leverage and you're essentially going to work harder. I'm telling you right now, like people who work a 9 to 5, they're working harder than us, most probably. We shoot an ad once. This is leverage, by the way. We shoot one ad. It reaches 10,000 people, right? They comment stuff and we convert them and we make like 10 times more than a 9 to 5. We only spent like, let's say an hour with that ad and we got like $10,000. Let's just say, for example, 9 to 5 people, if they spend 1 hour, they make like $10. So it's just leverage. It's just leverage. That's, spend the same amount of time, spend the same amount of hours. We're probably working a lot less. We're having a lot of fun. Like we had a lot of fun shooting that ad and it made more money. So it's not that we're working any harder. It's just more leverage. That's it.
I agree. Yeah. I think this this podcast is such a cool journey, but I think it's like, we did it like a year now. I think where this is going to end up in like 5 to 10 years is going to be so cool. We're going to look back at these videos. Like I think we ended the first one also something similar. It's like we knew we're going to look back at that video one day and it's going to be referenced as the first video. Oh, look how bad that was. Look how we look at the audio, the video, and how we
When we posted that, we thought we cooked.
This is bang, this is the best. We're going to think exactly that same thing about this episode in 2, 3, 4 years.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And but it's so cool. Like I think a testimony to what we believe in is seeing what we've done, what we're actually doing. And we didn't miss one episode last year. Even if we missed one episode that week, we posted 2 the next week or whatever. We didn't miss one episode. We did, in the full year, we did 26 episodes, 1 every 2 weeks. We didn't miss one single episode. So that comes down to,
consistency.
Consistency is the main thing. And, have we seen a lot of fruits from this? That is subjective. I think we have. But, it's not like we blew up or anything yet. And yet we're still taking action because we know that long term, it's inevitable. And we're not even doing it really for that. Like it more started out as like a thing of documenting our ideas. And then we started getting more other people on that wants to, be part of the conversation. And now we're getting into rooms with some really interesting people that want to share their ideas on here. So it's turning into something very beautiful that, very excited to be building out further. So, yeah.
And just one last thing. Yesterday when I was in the gym, some guy asked me like, yo, how do I get as buff as you now? I want to get jacked. And I literally told him, so I've just been hitting the gym every day, 7 years. And he's like, oh shit. It's just like completely resets the frame. And I asked him, so how long have you been training? And he said 2 years. So it's literally just, I haven't done anything special whatsoever. Train hard, eat protein, sleep, and just do it for 7 years. That's literally it. And he's like, oh, okay, I see. You're doing the exact thing. You're doing the right thing. You're taking the right actions. It's just you haven't gave it enough time yet. So even Chris Williamson, he's been posting for 7 years on his podcast. The last year, he got 95% of his audience.
That's crazy.
So the first 6 years, he only got 5% of that growth. 5%.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it for an outcome, you're going to quit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
so
I agree.
It's a good way to wrap it up. If you stuck to the end, comment a blueberry emoji.
Yo, I was about to say a blueberry emoji, man.
Comment the blueberry emoji, then we know the real ones. And then, that's signing off.
See you guys next one. Bye-bye. Banger.
Goeies.